A brand new driving law just took effect, and it can strip you of your license in under 60 seconds. The scary part? Most drivers have absolutely no clue it even exists. And law number 3 on today's list is already catching thousands of people completely off guard. The fines alone start at $500. Before we get into it, do me one quick favor. Hit the subscribe button right now. Here's why. Nearly 90% of drivers miss major law changes just like these. And I don't want you learning about them the hard way, through a ticket, points on your license, or higher insurance rates. These updates can drain your wallet fast or seriously mess up your driving record without warning. Here's what just happened. As of January 2026, 10 major driving laws changed across the United States, and many states are enforcing them aggressively. These aren't minor tweaks. They affect how you use your phone, where you're allowed to park, how fast you can drive in certain zones, and even what you're allowed to hang from your rearview mirror. Some of these rules are so specific that even long-time experienced drivers are getting pulled over without realizing they did anything wrong. Let me walk you through each one, starting with number 1. First up, hands-free phone laws just became much stricter. You might think you already understand this rule, but listen carefully because it's different now. In 2026, 38 states are enforcing a full hands-free policy. That means you cannot touch your phone at all while driving, not while stopped at a red light, not in stop-and-go traffic, not to change a song, not to tap your GPS. If an officer sees your hand on your phone, even if your car isn't moving, you're getting cited. Depending on the state, fines range anywhere from $250 to $1,000, and yes, it goes on your driving record. Here's where most people mess this up. They assume hands-free means they can still hold their phone as long as they are using voice commands. That's incorrect. You cannot hold the phone at all. Your lap doesn't count. Your hand doesn't count. The phone must be mounted on your dashboard or windshield or fully connected through your car's Bluetooth system, where everything is controlled by voice or steering wheel buttons only. Number 2 is a massive change that's catching more drivers than almost anything else. School zone speed cameras are now operating year-round. In the past, these cameras usually only ran during school hours and on school days. That made sense to most people. But in 2026, 22 states changed the rules. Now, those cameras can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. That includes weekends, summer vacation, holidays, and even late at night. If you drive through a school zone and go over the speed limit, even by a small amount, the camera records it, and a ticket shows up in your mailbox weeks later. The justification is that school zones are often located in residential neighborhoods where kids are present after school hours and on weekends. But here's what isn't being talked about enough. These tickets can stack up fast. If you drive through the same school zone every weekday and you pump for just 5 miles per hour over the limit, you could receive 5 separate tickets before you even realize it's happening. Each one can cost between $150 and $300. That adds up to as much as $1,500 in fines before you know what hit you. And now we get to number 3, the one that's blindsiding the most drivers right now. Left lane laws are suddenly being enforced with serious penalties in 31 states. You've probably heard people say the left lane is for passing only, but for years, most states barely enforced it. That changed in 2026. Now, if you're driving in the left lane and you're not actively passing another vehicle, you can be pulled over. The fines range from $200 to $500, and in some states, you'll also get points added to your license. Here's how this plays out in real life. You're on the highway. Traffic is light. You're cruising in the left lane at the speed limit. You're not speeding. You're not tailgating. You think you're doing nothing wrong, but under the new enforcement rules, an officer can still pull you over for impeding traffic. The law now clearly states that the left lane is for passing only. Once you pass, you must move back to the right lane. This is shocking a lot of people because it feels backwards. You're following the speed limit, so how can that be illegal? But the law is now very clear, and police are focusing on this behavior because it contributes to congestion and accidents more than most drivers realize. Quick legal disclaimer before we continue. This content is for educational purposes only and not legal advice. Driving laws vary by state and can change quickly, so always check your local DMV or speak with a traffic attorney for rules specific to your area. If this is already helping you, you are definitely going to want to see my next video where I break down the 5 mistakes drivers make during traffic stops that instantly raise red flags with police. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Knowing exactly what to say and what not to say during a stop can save you hundreds of dollars. Let's keep going. Number 4, right turn on red rules are changing fast, and many drivers don't realize it. Most people assume you can always turn right on red unless there is a sign saying you can T. That assumption is no longer safe. In 2026, more than 40 major cities have introduced broad bans on right turns on red, especially in downtown cores and high pedestrian traffic areas. Cities like New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Chicago are leading the way. The goal is pedestrian safety, since studies show a significant number of pedestrian accidents happen during right turns on red. In these designated zones, even if there's no sign explicitly saying no turn on red, the default rule is that you must wait for a green light before turning. So how are you supposed to know you're in one of these zones? That's the problem. Cities are supposed to post signs at the entry points, but the rollout hasn't been consistent. Some intersections are clearly marked, others aren't. Your safest approach is to assume that in busy downtown areas, near schools, hospitals, or heavy foot traffic, right turns on red are not allowed unless you see a sign specifically permitting it. Fines for violating this rule range from $100 to $400, and many of these tickets are issued automatically by cameras, meaning you won't even know until the notice shows up in your mailbox. Number 5, pedestrian right-of-way laws have gone completely zero tolerance. This represents a major shift in how crosswalks are enforced. Starting in 2026, 28 states now give pedestrians absolute right-of-way in all crosswalks, whether they're marked or unmarked. What does that mean in practice? If a pedestrian is anywhere near a crosswalk, even standing on the curb looking like they might cross, you are legally required to stop and let them go. You cannot inch forward. You can't wave them through. You must come to a full stop. If you fail to do that and an officer sees it, fines start at $300. In some states, if the incident is captured on camera or reported by a witness, you can also receive points on your license and be required to attend traffic school. The purpose of this law is to protect pedestrians, especially in urban areas where crosswalk-related injuries have been increasing. But for drivers, it means you need to be extremely cautious at every intersection, even when it feels unnecessary. Number 6, parking in bike lanes is no longer treated as a minor violation. If you have ever pulled into a bike lane just for a moment to run inside a store or drop someone off, this one is for you. As of 2026, 19 states and dozens of cities now treat stopping or parking in a bike lane as a towable offense. Not just a ticket, your vehicle can be towed immediately. The push behind this change came from cycling advocacy groups who argued that blocked bike lanes force cyclists into active traffic lanes, creating dangerous conditions. Now, if you block a bike lane, even briefly, you could be hit with a fine ranging from $150 to $500. On top of that, towing and impound fees can add another $300 to $600. If you need to stop, use a legal parking space or a designated loading zone. Bike lanes are completely off limits now. And quick reminder, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the thousands of drivers who stay ahead of these changes. Hit subscribe so you don't get blindsided by the next one. Number 7 is one of the strangest law changes, and most drivers don't even know it exists. Idling limits are now being enforced in residential areas. In 2026, 15 states passed laws that restrict how long your car can sit with the engine running in a residential neighborhood. This includes idling in your driveway or parked on the street. In most places, the limit is between 3 and 5 minutes. Once you exceed that limit, you can be fined anywhere from $50 to $250 if an officer observes it or if a neighbor files a complaint. The reasoning behind this law is environmental and quality of life related. Idling vehicles create unnecessary emissions and noise, which impacts air quality in residential neighborhoods. If you were someone who lets your car warm up for 10 or 15 minutes in the winter, this is something you need to rethink. Some states do allow exceptions for extreme weather, but those exceptions vary. So you need to check your local regulations. Enforcement is usually complaint-driven, meaning police aren't actively hunting for this. But if someone reports it, you can be cited. Number 8, dashboard camera rules are getting more complicated. Dash cams are still legal in most places and can be extremely useful. But in 2026, 7 states added new restrictions on how and where they can be mounted. The concern is that improperly mounted dash cams can block the driver ES view and create a safety hazard. In these states, dash cams must be mounted in a specific area, typically behind the rearview mirror and within a limited portion of the windshield. If your dash cam extends outside that approved zone, you can be cited for an obstructed view. Fines usually range from $75 to $200. Before installing a dash cam, it's important to check your state's mounting rules. Many dash cam manufacturers now include diagrams showing compliant mounting locations to help drivers stay legal. Number 9, move-over laws have been expanded, and this one can have serious consequences if you ignore it. Most drivers are familiar with the requirement to move over or slow down when approaching a police car or ambulance stopped on the roadside with flashing lights. In 2026, 33 states expanded this rule to include all vehicles stopped on the side of the road with hazard lights activated. That includes tow trucks, road maintenance vehicles, and even regular passenger vehicles using their hazard lights. If you're approaching a vehicle on the shoulder with hazards on, you are now required to change lanes away from it if possible, or significantly reduce your speed. Failing to do so can result in heavy fines and points on your license. This is one of those laws that can immediately change how you drive starting tomorrow. And if you want a step-by-step breakdown of exactly what to do when you get pulled over for one of these new violations, make sure you're subscribed. The next video covers that in detail. And finally, number 10, Traffic fines are no longer flat in some states. They're now based on your income. This is one of the most controversial changes of 2026. 6 states have introduced a sliding scale system for traffic violations. Under this system, the cost of a ticket is tied to how much you earn. The idea comes from European countries that have used this model for years. Here's how it works. If you earn around $30,000 a year, a speeding ticket might cost you $150. But if you earn $300,000 a year, that exact same violation could result in a fine of $1,500 or more. The reasoning is that flat fines hit low-income drivers much harder, while higher earners barely feel the impact. The states currently testing the system are California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Illinois, and Vermont. In these states, fine amounts are calculated using your most recent tax return. This shift is already sparking debates about fairness, privacy, and how financial data is handled. So there you have it. 10 driving laws that changed in 2026, and most drivers still have no idea. The left lane rule, number 3, is the one catching the most people off guard, and the penalties are serious. These laws are already being enforced. Ignorance won't protect you from fines, points on your license, or rising insurance premiums. Here's what you should do next. Take 5 minutes today to look up your state's specific rules for these 10 areas. Every state is different. What applies in California might not apply in Texas. Your state DMV website has this information, and most of it is written in plain language. I make these videos because I genuinely want to help you stay informed and out of trouble. If this video helped you, hit the subscribe button right now. New driving law changes happen constantly, and I'm here to explain them before they hit your wallet. Don a T be the driver who learns about a law change from a police officer handing you a ticket. Be the driver who's prepared. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video, where we break down the exact words you should and shouldn't say during a traffic stop to reduce your chances of getting a ticket by up to 60%. Drive safe out there.